Everybody, as you know, Pia is not available. So I went to some new guests that I was actually on their podcast, and it was such a good time. We had a really hard time not talking ad nauseum about Bravo. Their podcast is called Figuring It Out, and it's focusing on mental health and whatnot, but obviously Bravo ties in always.
It does.
So please welcome Grace and Kaylee.
Yay. Thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to be here. We can't wait to continue to talk about Bravo.
Right?
Hell yeah. Bravo. Give it to me. Give it all to me. Let's go.
I know that it's a little after the fact because Ariana was on Scheana's podcast weeks ago, but I had taken that week off and I thought I came back and I was like, I'll pick it back up, but I'm going to blame Pia. I was like, Pia, do you think I should still do it? And she's like, I think the moment has passed. And I was like, okay. But then when I announced that I was going to do another bonus episode of another just like Vanderpump episode of like, I think I was going to do season 8 reunion when they were on the Zoom. Someone requested, they're like, are you ever going to cover the Ariana on Scheana podcast? So I did a poll and apparently enough of you wanted this coverage. And I had to like put myself back into that place because, you know, right after Bethany did the interview with Rachel, I was like so heated and mad. And so when I listened to Ariana on Scheana's podcast, I was like, yes, like it was so impactful. So I forget what they said exactly, obviously, unless you like really, really, really write it down and do what we're doing here. But when I went back and watched, it was even better almost because I had less emotion attached to it where like I felt that like rage for Bethany. And Ariana was so concise. And she put, one thing I also noted, she put me at ease about this current season they're filming. Because she clarified like the shit that we've been saying, like, oh, I haven't been saying, but the people have been saying like, oh, she's cool with Sandoval now. They're all filming together. And she made it very clear that they're not. And I was like, I needed this for multiple reasons.
Agreed. I never once thought that they were going to be okay. I'm like, no, when I heard that, I didn't believe it. No, in no way. Ariana is she's done the healing and you could tell she's gone through it. Unlike Rachel.
I agree, Kaylee. I thought what was so interesting about the interview with Scheana was that you could tell like the last big time we saw her was at the reunion and she was so fresh. I'm so glad in the interview they actually reminded us of the timeline. And the way that she was able to speak about what happened now was from a perspective of someone that's done the work in therapy and is still doing it. So I appreciated that too. And I feel like she just reminded me why she's America's new sweetheart. Like I love her. She was so down to earth and so like, I felt like I could see myself in her shoes as to what I would be feeling in that moment. Just very relatable.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through it, babes.
Let's do it. Hell yeah.
Ariana says she has nothing wrong with Rachel going on a podcast. It was bound to happen. She's like, that's not the issue. But Rachel is still going along with things that were told to her by Tom. And that is what makes her sad. She's like, she put a lot of weight on what was being told to her. And even though she should know better by now, she's choosing to believe what Tom has told her. Oh, I forgot to talk about this at the top. She blocked Tom. Did everyone see that? In case you missed it, Rachel posted a birthday thing and Tom commented something like, happy you're doing well, miss you, friend.
No.
So then she blocked him and she posted that she blocked him in her stories. He addressed it when he was on some press junket and he said it was a little thirsty of her to do that. A little thirsty.
He popped off at TMZ too. I saw an interview he was doing just like, it's like low blow shades now where he's like, I wish her well, but like, screw her. All in like, a sentence. Very Tom Sandoval.
Which is just proof that he was like brainwashing her and she expected her to go along with it. And then here she goes, finally like speaking up for herself. And of course he's going to hate her. It's like classic narcissist.
Classic.
I also don't know if I truly believe that she believes everything that Sandoval was saying, addressing the point. I think that it fits her narrative. And I think right now, I think she is figuring it out and she's trying not to like glitch every time she says something. But even more so, if she chooses to not believe those things, then she really is the villain of her own story. And I don't think she's ready to accept accountability for any of that yet.
And Bethany was more than happy to feed into that. Like Bethany definitely, because Rachel's very easily influenced, clearly. So Bethany was able to get in there and really hype her up and really veer her away from taking accountability, because that didn't work for Bethany's narrative either.
Right.
Yeah, and that's who Ariana says she's more disappointed in. You know, she should have known better, which we all can agree at this point. Like Bethany, of all the people to be leading this, you would have eviscerated Rachel if it was at the reunion 3 weeks after you found it out. You, Bethany, you,
and like
yelling at what's her name, Kelly
Ben Simone.
Yeah, over what? Like
Bethany says, when she goes, Ariana has forgiven him. That really pissed off Ariana. She's like, don't speak for me. I don't know you, lady. And Scheana reminds her that Bethany admitted she didn't even watch the show and only watched the reunion, which I just want to keep harping on how fucked up that is, because she spoke with so much, I don't know, conviction about the reunion. But I'm like, that's just a one little facet of this story. If you don't know the whole story, you can't be incensed and outraged.
So if we needed a reminder as to why Bethany's talk show failed, this is a really good example of it, because she can't even do an interview without remaining impartial. Like, thank you, Bethany, for pushing your agenda on your victim or your interviewee, whatever we're going to call Rachel at this point. And thank you for popping off. Like, it was so clear that the interview was to serve Bethany that it was disgusting. So I'm glad Ariana said she was more mad at Bethany than Rachel at this point, because I felt that also felt really real, you know?
Yeah. And I was also more mad at Bethany as well. Like by part 2 or 3, I can't remember which part, I was like, yeah, I'm almost feeling bad for Rachel here, because it's like she got like swept into one of Bethany's tornadoes and is like unable to get out of it and speak her mind.
Because Rachel puts herself with these powerful people who have so much influence over her, and she just kind of robots herself into, yes, this is what they want me to say. Like in the podcast of Ariana and Scheana, they even said like she has words that she feels like she has to use.
Yes, I can't remember the words though, but I was like, yeah, she has used those words. She's like hit those talking points. I did like that Ariana reminded all of us that both Tom and Rachel got a lot of heat at the reunion. Bethany was really forgetting that because she kept saying Tom's getting away scot-free. I'm like, listen, Tom isn't punished enough, in my opinion, because he just can't be. He didn't stop. He didn't care. He went on tour. He sold merch. He's like, I am just going to like steamroll through this and just take it and complain about it and act like I don't understand it and be an asshole. And eventually people move on. And his shows were like sold out. So it's just the way Tom chose to handle it versus the way Rachel chose to handle it. That's the only reason Tom seems like he's unscathed. He was scathed. He just can't be that scathed.
Yes. And he kept, like you said, putting himself out there to go on tour and to be doing all this press. And so we were able to talk about him with the scandal, obviously, but in different lights, where I think Ariana mentioned it herself. You know, Rachel chose to remove herself, which Ariana said she thought was the right choice. And personally, I do too. But because of that, you're giving room for people to speculate, like, and to create narratives and to just continue to talk about it. So I don't know if there was a win-win, but I think I was glad they addressed the fact that women typically take the heat when it comes to cheating allegations. But I agree. I think like, if we haven't destroyed Tom Sandoval enough, we should continue to throw dirt at him. But I don't think he's gone without getting the dirt, you know?
Yeah, he has. And Rachel, he's just chosen to deal with it.
Yeah, and Rachel went about it like she could have came out on top, gone away, went to therapy, came back with someone who was not Bethany, and really made her statement like, oh, wow, I believe she was brainwashed, a little bit of taken advantage of, you know, not to say she's not at fault, but she could have totally flipped this and been there made a powerful movement for people like Scheana, who have been labeled as the mistress for all these years.
And that it's going to tarnish her reputation more than Tom's. Tom will be forgiven and it'll be forgotten about, as where, like Scheana says, I'm still branded that.
This has been a special airing of a Patreon exclusive. If you would like access to all the bonus episodes as well as all future bonus episodes, sign up at the link in the description or at patreon.com/SheSpeaksBravo. Make sure you sign up to be a Grand Dame or the Moment, as those are the tiers that have access to all the bonus footage. Hope to see you over on the Patreon, and thank you so much for any support you're able to give the show.